America has attacked the three key nuclear facilities in Iran. This keenly anticipated, much apprehended, potentially very dangerous turn of events has happened. I was hoping against hope that this would not happen, though I was rather sure that this would happen for the reason that once the Israelis got involved directly with disabling Iran vis-a-vis their nuclear program and missile program, it was inevitable that a clean and complete job had to be done of it. And as everybody knew, I also knew that this could not be done without the American help, because short of using tactical nuclear weapons, Israel does not have the capacity to destroy the deeply buried underground nuclear facility that Iran has, particularly in Fordow. It's hard to say at this point in time as to how this will play out in the days to come. But one sign of hope is that if you have been observing what has happened in this region over the last 20 months, you would have realized that there is a chasm or a gulf between the projected image and the reality. For example, it was assumed that while the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, would be in a position to deal with Hamas at a pinch, it would not be able to deal with Hezbollah in Lebanon as easily as it would deal with Hamas, because Hezbollah had a very impressive arsenal of missiles, sophisticated missiles, all supplied by Iran. The strange thing is that the people in Iran live in comparative poverty. Their basic needs, in many cases, are not met. But Iran has plenty of money to finance terrorist organizations all over the region. Well, that's another matter. People should realize that all these military adventures are undertaken at their expense, but this is something that people hardly realize once they're indoctrinated with the heady excitement of nationalism and the prospect of their country dominating a particular region. So, the way Israel dealt with Hezbollah was an eye-opener. If you look at the way Israel has gone about this business of finally reaching Tehran, it would make a very interesting case study. They went from stage to stage to stage, at each stage assessing potential dangers and deriving therefrom encouragement to go further. First, they dealt with Hamas, but interestingly, Hamas still remains a messy affair. But then they dealt with Hezbollah very successively. In fact, the success they've had in getting a handle on Hezbollah is a study in itself. It's an incredible story, starting with the pager attack. And then, of course, the new tactic, as I said in my previous video, of decimating the leaders first and then spreading confusion over the ranks. So I was really astonished and appalled at the way Israel managed to get a stranglehold on Hezbollah. That gave Israel the encouragement, the confidence to take the next most important step, which was a final port of call which was to deal with Iran. Now, obviously, this Iran campaign could not have been launched with 100% American coordination, consultation, and approval. There's no question about it. Israel on its own will not venture into a campaign of this kind in a region as sensitive as the Middle East, where America has very extensive major involvements. In fact, if you look at Trump's policy, you find that he attaches supreme significance to this region. So it's unthinkable that Israel would get into the Iranian space without the express knowledge and permission of Americans. And once America gives the go-ahead, America also comes under the moral obligation to stand by Israel in completing the task. Therefore, it was a matter of mere timing as to when America would get involved. Whereas it's usually put, the question is not if, but when. And perhaps in order to create strategic ambiguity, Trump said that he was going to give to the exploration of a peaceful solution to the problem 2 weeks. But as it now turns out, it was a mere ruse, a trick played to deceive the enemy. And last night, I was actually about 10:30 in the night, I was discussing this Iran issue with my little sister who lives in Cochin, because her knowledge of international affairs is far superior to mine. And she was telling me that America would attack Israel within 24 hours. I debated with her. I said that was not going to happen. It could not happen because, after all, the President of the United States has given 2 weeks, and the world would attach some significance, some gravity to the words of the American President. She said, no, the attack will happen within 24 hours. So I switched on the television this morning, and lo and behold, what I see first is Trump's post on Truth Social saying that America has successfully completed the mission. The 3 nuclear facilities have been completely devastated, and all the American planes are safely out of the Iranian airspace. Now, the question that's uppermost in the mind of everyone is as to how Iran would respond. All of us know that each country, each people act and react according to the image they construct of themselves, and often these self-constructed images are artificial and out of touch with reality. Each nation, each people would project a self-image for public consumption. And this is done entirely for domestic consumption. So the people should turn to their leadership and consider them to be their messiahs, their saviors, and their protectors. So in this process, a lot of false expectations are woven into the fabric of public propaganda. And Iranians have done it to a far greater extent than perhaps most others. It is now amply evident that the great claims that the Iranian administration, the Iranian regime, has been making in the recent years are not as well founded as one would have imagined. Israel, on its part, has gone about its work with almost chilling efficiency. I'm not an admirer of these things, but unfortunately, that's the kind of world in which we live, where only this kind of thing will work, and nobody believes in the efficacy of peace, love, justice, mutual acceptance, and caring and sharing with each other. But this will not make me change my basic commitment to a saner world, and my hope that through the din and bustle of all this, when the dust settles down, the realization will gradually dawn on people that there is no alternative to peace, and that it makes far better sense for people to love and accept each other and live together in amity, rather than create a poisonous atmosphere of mutual hate, which inevitably results in acts of destruction throwing back at people in terms of development by several decades. We do not know how many years Iran would take to recover from the damage it has suffered in the last 10 days. Possibly 10 years, if not more. And it's not just that Iran has suffered huge losses. Israel will take a long while to recover from the damage it has inflicted on itself and the damage inflicted on it by others. So the point I'm making is that in this kind of a situation, I find it very hard to take the side of this party or that party. All I know is this is not what humanity is meant for. I still believe, and nothing in the world can change my belief, that the foundation of life is love. There is no alternative to loving one another. And it is when humanity shifts its foundation from love and re-establishes itself or rehabilitates itself on the foundation of power, that mutual suspicion, hatred, and the idea that dominating each other is the only way forward, and that he who has the largest weapon is the greatest man on planet Earth, or he who can perpetrate or practice cruelty on most unimaginable levels is a great man, and he has to be feared, respected, obeyed, etc. And human greatness being assessed on the scale of terror massively inflicted, I believe reflects the aberration that has now become part of human nature. Somehow we are in love with abnormalities. That's why we only care for dramatic, sensational news, developments, events, etc. Most people feel bored by peace, though if they have to live in circumstances and conditions of war for 2 days, they will feel suffocated and then they will start yearning for peace. Now, this kind of anomaly in human nature needs to be addressed. The truth is that peace, not war, is the oxygen of life. The untruth which has been so deliberately and assiduously foisted on humanity is that war, not peace, is the only way for humanity to go forward. I sincerely hope that with this settling of the 3 nuclear centers, Iran would bid goodbye to its nuclear weapon ambitions. Of that, I had no doubt. Iran was well on its way to making a nuclear weapon or making nuclear weapons. I cannot understand how Iran needs uranium enriched to the extent of 60% when peaceful use of uranium enrichment is only up to 3.6%. Or for that matter, why Iran needed such secrecy, some impregnable secrecy in managing its peaceful nuclear programs, buried 300 feet under the mountain. Now, all that, of course, is pretty clear that it was quite earnestly pursuing its nuclear program, arms program. But then I also don't understand why other countries can have nuclear arms, and only those countries which have nuclear bombs are respected on the global stage. Why Israel can have nuclear weapons and others cannot have. I would rather like the whole world to be cleared of this nuclear menace. It is something that threatens the very existence of humanity. The real existential crisis for humanity is anyone having a nuclear weapon at all. For example, Russia is the #1 nuclear arsenal in the world. It has over 6,000 nuclear warheads. America is only second to Russia. Now, the combined nuclear arsenal of Russia and America is enough to destroy the entire Earth 6 times over. That's a kind of danger over which we are sleeping. Now, therefore, the only sensible thing to do is to make the beautiful planet called Earth our home, free from the menace of nuclear weapons. But unfortunately, the global community does not have the consistency of thought and commitment to truth to say that hypocrisy and partiality in relation to the ownership of nuclear weapons must be ended. And the same standard must be applied to all people. And therefore, there must be global nuclear disarmament and all nuclear weapons must be dismantled. Only then will a country have the right to feel indignant about this country or that country going the nuclear way. So from the Iranian point of view, they are discriminated against and they put it at a disadvantage in not being allowed to pursue its nuclear program, the weaponization of the nuclear facilities or nuclear know-how, whereas Israel can have it. Israel is supposed to have several nuclear warheads, besides having enough uranium to produce at least 70 more bombs. So that's the extent. There's only speculation because the Israeli nuclear program is highly secretive. It is not subject to international verification. They are allowed to do whatever they want. And Israel has successfully capitalized on the European and North American sense of guilt generated by the Holocaust. And therefore, it's allowed to get away with a lot of things, but that's subject for another video. Anyway, the most unfortunate turn of events has happened. America is now directly involved. President Trump is due to address the nation in about an hour's time. The interesting thing now is, at this point in time as I do this video, is that we know that attack has happened. The whole world knows that America has attacked the 3 facilities that they are now destroyed, thoroughly destroyed. But the people in Iran do not know this. That's the interesting thing. That's because Israel has very successfully destroyed the internet facilities and the communication facilities in Iran. Though the Iranian state television is still broadcasting, at least 20 minutes ago when I was scanning news, international news, the situation at that point in time, that is 20 minutes back, was such that the Iranian state media was not in a position to confirm whether or not these facilities have been attacked, though the attack actually happened almost 2 hours prior to that. So that's the state of people in Iran. Many people are fleeing Iran, and there is panic everywhere. The country is in a state of complete disarray. So this is an extremely unfortunate state of affairs. I wish it hadn't come to this sorry pass, but I also have to say that the regime in Iran has much to answer for. They're as guilty, as much to be blamed for this extremely unbearable situation for the people of Iran. A great people, a highly civilized people, a people of tremendous capacity and achievements in the past, have been brought to this state of economic devastation and humiliation in terms of their morale. The administration, the regime in Iran is at least as much to blame for bringing the country to this sorry state as any other force, including Israel, that you can think of. So the moral of the story, and I close on that, the moral of the story is that when a people choose their leadership, they also choose their long-term destiny. Now, people in India, for example, people all over the world must realize that democracy means the empowerment of the citizen, giving him or her the right to choose. You're free to choose your leaders, but please understand, you're not free to control the consequences of choosing this or that kind of leadership. You pay for it. So therefore, democracy demands that every citizen exercise his or her franchise, the freedom of choice, with utmost responsibility as to how the choice exercised will play out and what kind of statement we are making each time we go into a polling booth and press a button. Unfortunately, in our country, this is not done with the kind of seriousness that it deserves. People vote, and they are in fact made to vote in many cases, not according to their convictions or not based on informed choices, but swayed by this consideration or that consideration. And people in Kerala, for example, the most regrettable state even today is that a majority of Christians vote as influenced by the directives issued to them by their bishops. And in spite of the fact that it's proved time and again that these bishops are a most selfish lot, they are the least politically wise people you can think of. A man in the street, in fact, is more reliable than these bishops who use the believers, the votes of the believers, in order to bolster their own position and to fortify themselves against the legal consequences of the misdemeanors they routinely conduct. Again, that's a subject I do not want to deal with in detail at this point in time. The fact of the matter is that not only the Middle East, but the whole country, the whole world is now at the crossroads. A great deal can change, and in fact, I reckon will change from this moment onwards. But what exactly is the direction and the shape of the changes to come? We have to wait and see. These are climactic events or turning point events, and therefore we all have a duty to study every shade of the change that is likely to emerge in its minute detail. So please watch out, study how the situation fans out, study how the world is being led and directed into certain directions, and please remember that these choices are driven by the dominant interests of the entrenched social political elite in every country, and particularly in America, because in spite of all that we say, America still remains the most dominant force, and therefore what America does will affect all of us directly. And let's hope and pray that, as Trump has said in his first post on the subject, now is the time for peace. And I endorse that with hope. Now is the time for peace. The path of war, the path of violence, is a bus ride to nowhere. There's only one way, and that's the way to peace. But a people, in fact, the global human community, has to be ready for peace, has to be willing to accept peace, and learn to live in peace with each other. Let me end by quoting a Chinese proverb, which says, which goes as follows: "If there is light in the soul, there will be love in relationships. If there is love in relationships, there will be harmony at home. If there is harmony at home, there will be law and order in the society. And if there is law and order in the society, there will be peace in the world." So the origin of world peace is the light in your soul. That's what Jesus said. No one lights a lamp and puts it under a bushel. The lamp must be kept on the lampstand, that it may give light unto every person in the house. In this case, America, which was designed as a city set on a hill to shine like a lamp for the rest of humanity. Let America be the light that is lighted and put on the hill, so that it may give light to the whole world. Let there be peace in the world. As the Indian chant from ancient of days has said, Shanti, 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 Shantihi. Dadatta Dayadvam Damyada. Shanti, 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 Shantihi.